Expand your mind and enrich your world. It's time for another outstanding podcast from ICRT.
Hello and welcome to another podcast edition of Taiwan Talk. I'm Keith Manconi. When international travelers visit Taroko National Park in eastern Taiwan, they're usually there for the beautiful natural scenery, the hiking, the fresh air, but the area is also home to the Taroko, one of Taiwan's many Aboriginal tribes. And today on the show, we're speaking with someone who is pointing out that hiking is all well and good, but if you really want to get something out of your Taroko experience, you want to get to know the people who live there. Amy Liu has been working to bring talented people from around the world to the villages of Taroko to give them a chance to share their skills and perspectives with the local children. She's calling this monthly series of classes and activities the Kaixin Living Workshops, and I spoke with her recently to learn a little bit about the cultural exchanges that she's working to promote. Amy Liu, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me here.
So I just want to start off so that our listeners can kind of understand what this project looks like. So you are actually bringing folks in, kind of substitute teacher type people, in to share their craft, share their job, share their experience with these kids. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, this is a project called Kaixin 学堂, so Kaixin Workshop. Kaixin means happiness, right? So you want to be happy when you do this. So what I do is at Kaixin 学堂, I bring a teacher to come in once a month. So these kids have about 3 hours from 9 to 12 to meet someone from a different culture. So the teachers can come in and share their culture, their country, and their talents with the kids in the village.
And tell us about a couple of classes that you've already held, or a couple of workshops.
Okay. I've had about 8 workshops now in the village. So teachers come from India, from Japan, Canada, France, Honduras, Switzerland, Colombia, U.S., and Germany. And they have brought in great exposures to kids in photography, painting, cooking, baking, book reading, picture frame making, a lot of team building activities, and even playing American football.
Oh, okay. So do any of those, I mean, it looks like you covered a pretty broad range of cultures and activities. Does anything in particular stick out as something that the kids responded really well to? I'm sure the food they responded well to.
Yes. So when I started the workshop, I thought, what can I attract the kids? What can I do that they would actually come? So, of course, food, right? Food and little gifts that they can walk away with. So I offer international snacks at these workshops, and so they come and eat. So the one that I remember the most is probably the one with my friend from Switzerland and her boyfriend came out. They were actually living in Beijing at the time, so they came out to Taiwan and said, I really want to come and meet the kids. So what they have done is they set up about 6 different team building activities with the kids. So they get to make things with materials. So one of the events was they were given newspaper and just toothpicks, rubber bands, and tape that they have to wrap and raw egg in the materials that they have, right? So the objective is the teacher will drop it from very high, and then the objective is to make sure the raw egg doesn't break. So the kids were having that time to kind of work together to create their little wrapping events, with the raw egg. And at the end, they win a prize.
Oh, okay.
So there were about 6 activities in that particular workshop, and the kids were having fun. And so I thought, they were very happy, but the teachers were very engaging, and then the kids were having fun. And then, of course, from my friend in Switzerland, she brought cheese. So the kids got to try cheese fondue and chocolate fondue.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is dropping eggs a part of Swiss culture? But I guess it's the cheese.
It's the cheese. That's the culture. Yes. And not just the activity that they brought to share with kids.
Okay, so those are some of the activities that you're bringing. Can you tell us a little bit about the village? Because I think probably a lot of us that live in Taipei or a lot of us that live in Kaohsiung, we may not have a lot of experience with, these places that are a real part of Taiwan. We might just not have a very accurate picture of what these places look like. So can you tell us a little bit about the village that you're working with?
Okay. The area I go to is actually the very famous area of Taiwan. So it's actually in Taroko Gorge. It's on the east coast,
right,
near Hualien.
Yeah.
So it's actually near the National Park of Taroko National Park, where people know that as the magnificent gorges, the mountains, the cliffs. And then what I do is I'm attracted to the people who are living in the area. So when I go to Taroko area, and I work in I think there's about 4 to 5 villages. The kids from these villages will come to this Kaixin workshops.
And so you have a little bit of a history with this village?
Yes, indeed. Yes, I've seen some of these kids when they were 13 years old to about 13 to 20, and now it's been almost 10 years, right? So they're 23 to about 30. So I've been with them for probably the past 10 years. And I started knowing them because I was up in the mountains
writing a book.
Writing a book, yes. So my book called Taiwan A to Z, the Essential Cultural Guide, was written there, and that's where I got to meet them and really found people to be very interesting and very down to earth and cool. So.
And so in bringing these people and sharing these cultures to the village, it sounds like what a lot of this is about is just bringing these kids experiences that they might not have access to otherwise.
Okay. The reason why I went back to the village is really I want to bring the world that I know and friends that I know to really have a true engagement with the local people. So I call the world in my home. So how do I bring the global perspective, the globe, people from different parts of the world to come to Taiwan to meet them? So the world in my home, in my village home, in my Taroko village. So these children can actually see things that they generally don't get to see in the villages. So by able to see, I feel I'm giving them new opportunities, that they have a new outlook on life, perhaps meeting people that they would generally not meet. And I've talked to them when I first returned to Taiwan. I was away from Taiwan for about 5 years. So I went away and I was working in Shanghai for 4 years. And then I did a world journey for about a year.
Yeah.
And then that kind of brought me back to Taiwan again and say, I've seen the world, what can I do to contribute back to the villages, to people that I really care about? So this idea came around, how do I bring the world to them? So this Kaixin workshop idea then came around after I came back in September last year. So just about a year ago.
And we were talking a little bit before we turned on these mics, and you were telling me that it's not really about bringing something to this village. I mean, maybe people that are thinking in terms of charity, they think in terms of bringing money or bringing experiences or bringing opportunities. And you're saying that's not what this is about. It's about really having a genuine engagement between people in this community and people outside this community. Yes,
I felt people in the villages are very happy. They live the life that perhaps are happier than people in the cities. So we're not really there to give them things and not looking down at them and say, well, they're poor and so we need to give them this and that. What I feel if people want to come in is really time. They want people to come to the village to be there with them and to really talk to them, to really understand them, and to really share the joy that they have in the village. So what I'm trying to create is a space where people can come and really have that friendship with them and have that authentic engagement with the people, or, in particularly that group is the Turoko tribal people there. So they can have conversations, they can exchange ideas, they can understand the cultures. They can try the food there, right, which is a bit different, and then enjoy the landscape, and have fun together.
So, it's really a two-way street because, a lot of people come to Taiwan to learn about it, and then maybe often they overlook, this really important part of Taiwan.
Yes, and I do want to bring more international friends, whether they're travelers coming in or they're long-timers staying in Taiwan for a long time. They perhaps have not had the chance to really meet the Aborigines. They may know there are 16 different tribes here in Taiwan, that there are indigenous peoples here in Taiwan, yet there's no opportunities for true exchange and true engagement. So I hope through Kaixin Xuetang or Kaixin workshops, international friends can have a true experience, in Taroko. Kaixin Xuetang is really a part of my bigger project. And that bigger project, I also have a name for it. So it's called Taroko 1, 2, 3. So Kaixin Living is part of that I felt I want to bring more friends to come in to bring that global mindset. So what exactly is Taroko 1, 2, 3? Then 1 is about that tour. So you asked me, do people come on a tour to Taroko? Yes, they can come and they can have fun with the local friends. So I call that Taroko 1. But my focus is really on 2, which now refer that to as Kaixin Living. And hopefully we can continue with the workshop for, years and years. And there's actually part 3. That's really a big project, and I hope I'll be able to get the resources and support to do it. So part 3 is to build a global home in a village. So if there
kind of like a community center?
Yes, or more like a home where kids after school can know that if I want to meet international people, that's where I go. If I want to learn anything international, there is that classroom space on the first floor that people can come. And perhaps on the second floor, we can have a few bedrooms where if international people come, they can stay. And perhaps cook dinner and meals together with the Aboriginal kids. And so it's a house that people know it is a international space if they want to connect. Whoever wants to connect, the world come and want to connect with indigenous peoples, or vice versa, the kids who want to really have that interaction and conversations with people from different parts of the world.
Sticking with that theme of exposure to the international, would you say that that's something that's a challenge for these kids in this village right now, is getting that exposure and having that opportunity to see what's out there?
Children in the villages really don't have opportunity to see much. They're generally left with grandparents who actually don't focus too much on education. So after school, they come home and they just bum around. They could be watching TV all day. They could be just talking to friends. So Kaixin Living is really just an opportunity. And it's really only once a month for them to come and be able to see people, what people do outside of their village, what people even do outside of Taiwan. So these international people coming in from different parts of the world. So, the workshop, for example, the French teacher come in and show them baguette is what we eat, and which is very different than my German friend who came in and showed them, well, these are the sausages that we eat. And they're different than the Taiwan style sausages, right? So they may not have had the exposure of a German style sausage, but now they do. So with this kind of experience and contact with friends from the world, they have different experiences. They have different ways to see and talk. And perhaps in the future that they can see, I like to be a chef. I want to be a bakery chef. I want to be a photographer. I want to be an artist, because they have seen these people with these skills and lifestyle. But at the moment, I really just hope that they come and they enjoy and have fun. So opportunities may arise in the future for them.
Now, looking at the other end of that equation, to the folks that are actually going there and sharing their culture and their experience and their skills, I'm sure that you've had a chance to talk to some of the people who have done that so far. What have they been telling you? Have they shared their experience with you and mentioned any ways in which they found this to be something that was meaningful to them?
Yes, I've had a few teachers. They're actually all my friends, and I call them teachers now. They come in and they say, I've been living in Taiwan for a long time, 10, 15 years, and I've never really had a true interaction with the local community. For them, that they were proud that they can also generate something and create in a workshop that offer the country that they know of to the local indigenous people. A lot of people feel truly connected with the people, and they brought friends back again, in the following month, and that they start bringing cultures and friendships to the villages without me not being there, right? So it's not a Kaixin workshop time. They just go at their convenience and they go and meet the locals. And then I just feel that they now have a deeper understanding of what village life is like. Because generally the teachers come, they get a tour of the village, right? So they really get to see how they live their lives and what the homes are like, what they eat at home. So they're expanding their network by bringing even more of their friends to come to the village. So hopefully there will be a better and more open understanding of what people are like in these different villages.
Right, and so it's really about. It sounds like it's really about just kind of forging these friendships. It's again not about showing a better way to do something, or to say that something outside of the village is better than what's going on there, but just to give some exposure to what's out there. Is that right?
Yes, and I really want to emphasize that no one culture is better than the other culture. We're just different. By knowing people, you actually have a deeper understanding and a deeper engagement with these people. So I really hope that there will be some kind of long-term relationships and friendship between the international friends and the local indigenous friends.
All right, and if people want to get involved with this, where should they go?
So if people want to get in touch with me, they can definitely check out my Facebook. It's called Taroko123, and send a message to me at my Facebook.
All right. So hope lots of folks check that out. We have been speaking to Amy Liu. She is the founder of Kaixin Living Workshops. Amy, thanks so much for coming in today.
Well, thank you, Keith, for having me here. And I also want to extend my appreciation and gratitude to two people. One is Sasha Ho. She actually donated quite a bit of money for me for Kaixin Workshops, so then I'm able to start this workshop and not worry about where the money will come from to support this event. And then I also want to thank Roma Mehta, who was the first person to share her successful experiences in the villages, and then kind of push me and say, Amy, go and do a workshop. I'll be your first teacher to come out and do this. And so that was last December, and I've had, workshop ever since. So I want to thank Sasha and Roma again for their support.
All right, so props to them. Thank you all for listening. This has been Taiwan Talk for ICRT. I'm Keith Menconi.